Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of Black and White Reviews. My name is Chuck.
My name is Lee.
And I have never been more disappointed with Chuck than I am this week.
I haven't watched this movie in 20 years.
Dude.
So he says, "Hey, let's watch this movie because."
Dude, this movie. My name is Will. What are you doing? What are we doing this week, Chuck? I kind of took away the thunder a little bit. What are we talking about?
Tony Scott's 2005 Domino with Mickey Rourke and Keira Knightley, and a lot of other people like Christopher Walken,
Yeah.
Lucy Liu,
Yeah.
and a bunch of others. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is based on a real life character
Fine.
with a real life interview, not by
Who shows up at the very end? The last
she's
scene,
at the very
smoking a
last
cigarette.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am Domino Harvey.
Yes.
But I just remember, so to be up front, all I remember was this movie was a bit trippy because it was and we were talking about Man on Fire and Denzel Washington films, and then it became Tony Scott because of Man on Fire. And I remember this film being a little trippy, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen that in 20 years. Let's give it a try. So I came into this, I've only watched it once prior to this viewing. So I was like, I don't remember anything of this film. So I just remember the name and like a few tidbits. So I went into it almost blind. But, I mean, it was a film.
Oh, it was.
It was a film.
Okay.
But go ahead. So your
Lee?
thoughts, Will?
So I kind of talked to Chuck about this already, because I watched like the first like half an hour. I'm just like, why did you choose this movie? And only because like 2004, 2005, it was an era where movies, they were real. They to me, they all kind of felt the same. Now, I worked at Blockbuster Video around the time. Like I think from like 2005 to 2007, I worked at Blockbuster. And they played the overhead, all these trailers and all these different things. I'm just like, I'm Domino Harvey, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, okay, yeah, not interested in this movie. Like, I knew what it was. I understood what I was getting into. And this movie is exactly what I thought it was. Nothing blew me away. It was the same stylistic, like same style as everything else that was coming out around that time. I mean, we talk about when was The Island? The same year, I think. Yeah, exactly. Like the weird, like everything's yellow or like a yellow green and.
Well, that was Michael Bay. This is Tony Scott. This is very much like Man on Fire.
I understand. I didn't watch Man on Fire.
This is nothing like Man on Fire. You need to. That's
Nothing.
black. You
No.
need to stop.
When I'm saying that is the way it was filmed was a lot like Man on Fire, like all the glitchy and the quick scenes and all there was blurriness
but
to it.
but
that was very Man on
so
Fire.
many movies around that time were all like that. Like that's what this felt like. Everything that came out around that time
felt like everything that Tony Scott did around that time.
No, it felt
Yes.
like a lot of things that came out around that time. Like
No,
anything that
he's
was
right.
in
It
this
felt like
type of
It
genre.
felt like what Tony Scott did around that time. Man on Fire, Deja Vu, Untouchable. Like all of these movies do the same thing throughout. This ridiculous editing style, or like every 5 minutes there has to be like a wild effect. Is
Yeah, it's if you have no offense, but if someone has epilepsy, they're not watching this film.
No, not at all.
probably not.
Tweaking
Definitely
about
not.
5 minutes into it.
Interesting.
I feel like my voice is like being tossed down a hallway. I feel very echoey.
Okay, well then I'll turn you down. You keep saying it's not loud enough for you. so.
No. It's loud enough. It
Yeah.
just sounds like I'm in an open hallway.
Well, it's okay. Cool.
So turning it down didn't fix it.
Well, it might. So I'm looking at this because I'm not seeing. So Tony Scott. Let's see. What came out around that time?
Man on Fire,
Yeah,
Deja Vu.
yeah. In her, he did. Oh, he was the executive producer for In Her Shoes. He was the producer of Domino, producer for Man on Fire.
But he was also the director.
Yeah,
Man
see,
on
there was a
Fire.
lot of things that came out around this time that all looked the same in all the trailers and everything, and it was just not a thing that I was interested. It was like this was the style. Everyone's like, oh yeah, let's go see this in the theater, and then it's just like nobody talked about it again. And I think that's what this movie was too. One of those movies that just people saw it once and then moved on. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just because that's when
Hey,
I
man,
worked
I
there.
saw it once and moved on. So
Yeah, and then you're like, you know what? We should talk about this movie I haven't seen in 20 years.
taking a chance.
Yeah.
Sometimes
wrong
it
with
works.
taking a
Sometimes
chance.
it.
Nothing wrong with taking a
Sometimes it
chance.
works. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
I will say the language and the 2.5 minutes of nudity that did not do it for me. Especially the whole Keira Knightley scene was not.
Oh,
Was
Yep.
just out of the blue.
Well, thankfully, when there's a button that just fast forwards 30 seconds, and I'm just like, okay, moving on,
Yeah, 'cause I told
moving
you.
on. Well, not even that. It was even just like, you could see when it was coming, and you're like, okay, next. Let's just get to the story.
The whole desert scene really was like,
Yeah, I didn't see it.
you guys realize that there's people around you, right?
No, they didn't. They were on mescaline.
Yeah. They were on mescaline.
Anyway,
Listen, my thing is,
So why are you disappointed in me?
this movie is trash.
I know.
This movie
he's like,
is
but
absolute.
all the what are all the twists? There's so many twists.
No, I
It's
said
like,
there's
yeah.
one or I said there's 2 or 3 all at the end. All the twists happen at the end.
Okay, so Usual Suspects or Ocean's 11, like that, I blame those two movies for starting like everything has to be a twist and we have to have like 3 or 4 of them throughout the movie, and so many movies fell so flat. This is probably the worst example of like twist that I've ever seen in a film in my life. It's so what? And now you're roping in the mob, and you're roping in the cops, and you're roping in this billionaire empire owner, and now you're in this ragtag group for some reason. All of a sudden, out of nowhere in the movie, a camera decides they're gonna follow them around for nothing, and then you throw in this really weird Monique scene while she's on the set of Jerry Springer for what reason I don't know.
So she can
This is-
explain all the different subcategories of people who are black.
What is happening? Why was that in the movie? What reason was that in the movie for? I don't understand. Half the things
Because
this movie
Jerry
was,
Springer was big then. They wanted to get Jerry Springer into the
In
movie.
Jerry's-
2005,
Jerry Springer was not
Jerry Springer
big.
was big 10 years before that. Maybe.
Yeah.
This movie was taking place in the 90s.
Ugh.
Fine,
why.
whatever. This movie, there's so much going on in this movie, and it's all just a heaping pile of nothing. I could not get invested in anything that was going on in this movie. Keira Knightley in this role? Really? That's what we're going with? That's what's happening here? The most believable character in this movie was Christopher Walken. Yes, sleazy television producer. I believe it. I 100%
Hey, Mickey-
believe this character.
Well, you couldn't buy Mickey Rourke as Mickey Rourke.
Here's what I'm going to say about this. Mickey Rourke, not a fan. I don't think
Yeah.
he's a good actor. I've never
Well,
seen him
he's
in anything
not.
that
He's-
I liked.
He's not a good actor. He is one of those actors who is like the Jean-Claude Van Dammes, the Sylvester Stallones. He's like that kind of an actor. We were talking weeks ago about, superstars that are not Class A actors. He's one of them. I mean, he filled the role in Iron Man 2 pretty okay.
The problem with Iron Man 2 is the story in that was just so cheesy.
Right, but you make a
My
better...
father died, and I'm mad now. So the guy who took my father's ideas, I'm going to take revenge on his son. Like
Yeah.
it was so cliche.
course.
And he was called Whiplash. I just imagined him like twisting his mustache
Yeah.
the entire time. Like, I want my bird. That is not my bird.
No. This whole movie, yeah. I don't have a whole lot of good things to say about this movie. Just the
Hey,
plot.
not hurting
The
my
plot.
feelings.
The plot is convoluted. It's all over the place. At certain points, this movie doesn't know what it wants to be. Does it want to be an action movie? Does it want to be a comedy? Does it want to be a thriller? Does it want to be a whodunit?
Comedy? Where do you get comedy from?
Just the way that the whole scene played out, where an
Jerry Springer
arm
scene.
gets ripped off, was like not realistic at all. It was played up like the music going on in the back room, and you got the actors from 90210 freaking out. Oh my god! Like it's like this is ridiculous.
It wasn't ripped off. It was
We
double
know
shotgun shot
Fine.
off twice.
it's stupid. It was so stupid. I don't know. This movie really bothered me for a lot. I did not have a good time.
The funny part is like Ian Ziering, who plays the blonde celebrity dude here.
Yeah.
I think the only other thing I've seen him after this was Sharknado and all the Sharknado movies. That's basically the only thing I've seen him do.
Like Tara Reid for a while,
I think she was in the first one. Yeah.
and then she got eaten. Now she's no longer in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah. Do we want to get into it? I think we know how we kind of all feel here. Chuck's kind of like, I saw it a long time ago. It's not that bad. And Will and I are like, why did we waste our time? Like this was a chore
I didn't
for
say
me
it
to
was
watch.
that
Yeah.
bad. I didn't say that. I did not say, it wasn't that bad. I said it's a movie.
So is Passion in the Desert.
I usually when I sit down to watch a movie, I usually like to do it in like one sitting, one go. So today I threw it on and it was rough to get through. It was rough. I had to pause. I had to get up. I had
It
to go
took
do
me
other
like
things.
6 viewings to watch the whole thing.
And when I sat back down, I groaned. I was like, I gotta get through this. I gotta get through this movie. Let's just do it. And it was
It's a hard movie to watch, not
It's-
because it's supposed to be a hard movie to watch. It's just a hard movie to watch.
It's just
I think
it's,
that well, let's get
aesthetically
into it.
aesthetically it's not pleasing. The way that
Right.
this movie is edited, how everything has to have some type of effect on it is
it's
like,
too much.
it's way too much. It's too
Right.
much. It's sensory overload.
Right.
So
Well, let's get into it. So, from this point on, if you would like to see the rest of the podcast on video and watch our beautiful mugs talk about this film, check us out on patreon.com/blackandwhitereviews. It will be free on our audio podcast for all the audio listeners, but we're going to get right into it now.
Well, let's just talk about that for one quick second, because we keep getting emails that Google Podcast is not going to be any longer. So if you've been listening to us there, find an alternative way to hear us, because
I didn't know that.
we-
That's how
we've
I
gotten
listen.
multiple emails.
well,
So
yeah.
I guess that's going down. So
Bye.
thanks, Google. I feel
There's still
I don't wanna rip
Spotify,
on
there's
Google.
still Apple.
I
So,
know. I mean I use Spotify primarily, but Google Podcast was
Amazon.
convenient. But the reality it's I think it's weird that Google has like these hey, look at these great things, and then all we keep getting is these emails are all these emails from Google saying, "Oh yeah, this thing you've been using? Sorry, we're getting rid of it." So before, like, you could like get ebooks and stuff like that through there, or like there was like Google Play like movies and stuff you can buy from it. No, now it's all just YouTube. You have to get it through YouTube, which they own. I'm like, it was nice to just have its own separate thing, but here they are getting rid of our podcast now. I'm like, come on, guys.
Amazon has it. Spotify has it.
I know, but it's just, it was very convenient if you have an Android phone, or specifically a Google phone, to just have a podcast app that just works.
Yep.
You know, it's separate from everything else.
Yep.
But gone now, so
No,
thanks for nothing.
Mine still works.
Yeah, for now. I'm saying it will be gone.
Yeah. So as we get into this,